Harper lived a life of constant scrutiny under the watchful eyes of her overbearing parents. Their strict rules and suffocating control made her feel trapped, like a bird in a cage. Her only solace was Jake, her long-distance boyfriend, who promised her a life of freedom and love. They made a plan. She would leave her home at night and move in with him in his distant city. On a cold, moonless night, Harper packed her belongings into a small backpack and slipped out of her house. Her heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement as she met Jake at the bus station. He was waiting for her, smiling reassuringly. Little did she know, she was stepping into a nightmare far worse than her life at home. Jake's house was hidden deep in the woods, isolated and surrounded by dense forest. As they drove further from civilization, Harper's unease grew. The house itself was old and dilapidated, with a sinister aura that made her skin crawl. Jake's demeanor changed the moment they arrived. The warmth in his eyes turned cold and predatory, and Harper's hope quickly turned to dread. Days turned into weeks, and Harper's life became a living hell. Jake was not the caring boyfriend she thought he was. He was a psychotic sadist who took pleasure in her suffering. He kept her captive, threatening her daily and delighting in her fear. "You thought you could escape your prison and come to me for freedom?" Jake sneered. "You're mine now, Harper. Your suffering gives me power. You are nothing without me." Harper's days were filled with relentless torment. Jake tied her up, both physically and mentally, and reveled in her helplessness. He would sit close to her, whispering cruel words in her ear, telling her how worthless she was and how no one cared about her. He enjoyed punishing her, claiming it was his way of showing love. His punishments were brutal, ranging from psychological torment to physical abuse. One night, after a particularly brutal beating, Jake revealed his true intentions. "I've done this before, he said with a sinister smile. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last. I enjoy watching the light leave their eyes." Harper's blood ran cold. She realized she was not just a captive, but a part of Jake's twisted game. She knew she had to escape, but the fear of being caught paralyzed her. Weeks passed, and Harper's hope dwindled. Jake's taunts grew more sinister, his methods more cruel. He would deprive her of food and water, leaving her weak and delirious. He played mind games, making her doubt her own sanity. Harper's once strong spirit was slowly being crushed. One night, as Jake slept, Harper decided it was now or never. She had spent weeks studying the locks and the chains, and she had managed to loosen one of her restraints. Her hands trembled as she quietly worked the chain free. Every sound seemed amplified in the silence, and her heart pounded in her chest. Once free, she moved cautiously, trying to stop her sobbing. The fear of being caught made her movements slow and deliberate. She crept through the dark house, avoiding the creaky floorboards, her breath shallow and quick. She reached the front door, only to find it locked from the outside. As she turned around, Jake was standing there, his eyes filled with rage. "Trying to leave, are we?" he hissed, grabbing her roughly. Harper struggled, tears streaming down her face. In the chaos, she remembered Jake's room had a window. Summoning all her strength, she broke free and ran towards his room. Jake chased after her, but she managed to lock the door behind her. With trembling hands, she shattered the window with a nearby lamp, cutting herself in the process. Harper climbed through the broken window, the jagged glass tearing at her skin. She fell to the ground outside and immediately started running towards the forest. Behind her, she could hear Jake's furious shouts as he followed her. The darkness of the woods was both a blessing and a curse. It hid her but also made it difficult to navigate. Branches scratched her skin and roots tripped her up, but she kept running, driven by sheer terror. She could hear Jake getting closer, his footsteps pounding against the forest floor. Harper found a large tree and hid behind it, trying to stifle her sobs. She held her breath, listening to Jake's footsteps getting closer. He was so close she could hear his breathing. "Harper, you can't hide from me," he taunted, his voice dripping with malice. "I will find you, and when I do, you'll regret ever trying to leave." Minutes felt like hours as she waited for him to move away. She could hear Jake's voice, filled with mock sorrow. "Harper, why did you leave me? I thought we were happy together. Come back, and I promise I won't hurt you. I love you, Harper. You belong with me." Her heart pounded as she listened to his manipulative words. She knew he was lying, but the fear and desperation gnawed at her resolve. Jake's voice then changed to a menacing growl. "If you don't come out now, Harper, I will make sure your suffering is unimaginable. I will hunt you down, and when I find you, you will wish you had never been born." Harper's breath caught in her throat. She fought the urge to cry out and reveal her hiding spot. She waited until she heard Jake's footsteps move away before she made her next move. She crawled through the underbrush, careful not to make any noise. She found another tree to hide behind and tried to calm her racing heart. Suddenly, she heard Jake sobbing in the distance. His cries were filled with false despair, designed to lure her out. "Harper, please. I can't live without you. I'm sorry for everything. Just come back, and we can be happy again. I promise I'll change." The sobs turned into laughter, cold and mocking. "You can't hide forever, Harper. I know this forest better than you do. You're only making things worse for yourself." Harper's mind raced as she moved from one hiding spot to another, always staying one step ahead of Jake. She could hear him talking to himself, his words a mix of threats and pleas. "Why do they always run? Don't they know it's pointless? I will find her. I always do." The forest seemed to close in around her, the darkness pressing in from all sides. She stumbled over roots and rocks, her body aching from exhaustion and fear. She found a small hollow under a fallen tree and crawled inside, trying to steady her breathing. Jake's voice echoed through the trees, closer this time. "Harper, come out, wherever you are. Let's end this little game. You can't win." Her body trembled as she listened to his footsteps drawing nearer. She bit her lip to keep from crying out, the pain grounding her in the moment. She waited until the footsteps faded again before she moved, her movements slow and deliberate. Harper knew she had to get to the highway. She forced herself to keep going, despite the pain and exhaustion. Hours passed as she navigated the forest, always listening for Jake's approach. She finally reached the edge of the forest and saw the highway in the distance. Relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. There were no cars in sight, and she had to walk barefoot along the rough asphalt. Her feet were cut and bleeding, but she didn't care. She had to get away. Harper walked for miles, her body aching and her spirit nearly broken. Just as she was about to give up, she saw the faint lights of a gas station. Summoning her last ounce of strength, she stumbled towards it. The attendant was shocked by her appearance and immediately called the police. When the authorities arrived, Harper was finally safe. But Jake was never found. Despite the police's efforts, he had vanished without a trace. Harper lived in constant fear, always looking over her shoulder, wondering if he would come back to claim her. The trauma of her ordeal haunted her every waking moment, and she struggled to rebuild her life. But she was free, and that was a victory in itself. The scars, both physical and emotional, would never fully heal, but Harper was determined to survive. Her story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly kind eyes and the strength it takes to escape it. Thank you for listening to tonight's story. Remember, the darkness can hide many secrets, and not all escapes lead to freedom. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.